Game of football we have just been served up after a diabolically boring Premier League season. Thank God we have the Champions League this year. Another mesmerizing game, end-to-end, jeopardy, brilliance, fantastic goals. Even though 6 goals were scored, there was still some amazing defending tonight. And for the first time, I want to push this notion. I don't even think Inter bottled it. Some people are pushing that narrative. Some Inter fans might think they did. What you saw tonight was football of the highest quality. And sometimes you just can't stop teams scoring when they're that good. Hit the like and the share button. Make sure you are subscribing, people. Get that done for us now. And Yamal. I've got a lot to say later in the show about Yamal because I spoke about this in the summer. 16 years old, smashing it in an international tournament, younger than when Ronaldo delivered at internationals. CR7, Ronaldo, Pele, Maradona. He was doing it at 16. He was influential. He was scoring. He was assisting. 100 games now at 17 years of age. He became the youngest player tonight to score in the semi-final stage of the Champions League. He's a phenom. He's beyond the generational talent. And I'll be honest with you, and we're going to go into this in more detail later, I'm not sure if there's ever been a better 17-year-old at this level of the game in Europe in my lifetime, if ever at all. 17 years of age, already 100 games, scoring, assisting, tearing up one of the best defenses in Europe. The kid is something special. He's just absolutely out of this world. Absolutely out of this world. He really, really is. But wow, where do we start? Where do we start with tonight's game? I'm going to start with Inter first of all, actually, because I don't know how Inter fans will feel right now. And I'm sure, listen, I respect what they say. It's their football club. They started brilliantly. A goal, the fastest goal in Champions League semi-final history. We're going to get onto the high line of Barca a bit later, but they exploited it. A header was won. A ball wonderfully played out to the right-hand side. First cross was defended well. The second comes in, and the back flick from Thuram was just out of this world. Out of this world. Dumfries has the ball. I think the first cross, it gets blocked. The second cross comes in. He flicks it with his sort of behind him with his right foot. 36 seconds on the clock. What a start for Inter Milan. Perfect. They then don't touch the ball for 20 minutes. Barcelona pin them back. They have a couple of, I think they had a couple of shots. I'm actually going to check if that's a fact, Terry. They had a couple of shots, I think. They had 3 shots on goal. But and they look dangerous. But Inter were dealing with things. And then they go down the other end. They get a corner. And Sherby wins the first ball. And then Dumfries with a spectacular overhead kick makes it 2-0. And I'm sitting there and thinking, no way. They're not going to batter him, are they? They're not going to defend again, score another. Surely they're going to respond. And it was a brilliant opening 20 minutes for Inter Milan away from home. And I'm going to tell you why that it was why this was so important later. Yamal had already been playing well. Yamal's goal is one of the best Champions League goals I've ever seen in my life. Ever. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying it's one of the best. Picks the ball up very wide and deep on the right-hand side. Runs at Mkhitaryan, who is just, he is so scared of him because of his talents. He's been cooking DeMarco for the last 20 minutes, making his life hell. He beats him with ease. And what I love about the way Yamal plays is that he's got great skill, he's got great technique, but he's just direct. I like he runs at people in kind of straight lines, but then has the agility and ball control together, the physical element, the technical element, to then beat a player, but then keeps driving. And he drives into that Inter box, cuts the ball onto his left, and he has this ability to shoot early. And he shoots early, bends it high and wide into the far corner, bang! 2-1. And you felt the energy rise up in the stadium. The fans were great. And then Barcelona were just on top. They were peppering Inter. They were dragging them from left to right and making it so hard for them. Yamal then hits the post. What he does to DeMarco, the shot he makes. I mean, Summer makes a very good save. It would have been it was better. It would have been an even better goal than his first. Hits a crossbar and goes out, and they're hanging on Inter. And then Barcelona's equalizer, it was even better. Pedri, who I thought had a phenomenal game, brings the football forward, dinks it wide to Rafinha. Rafinha's header was great. but Ferran Torres' run was even better because the Inter defender, Cherby, he just got sold. He went the wrong way because of the run. Ferran Torres is free in the middle. Bang, it's 2-2. Then between then and the end of the first half, again, they were just hanging on Inter Milan. You think, wow, are Barcelona going to score 2 or 3 more with the way Yamal was playing? The second half, the changes were made, and obviously Lautaro Martinez was injured and had to go off, and the DeMarco was taken off, and Augusto was brought onto the pitch, and that helped a little bit. For a little while, they got to grips a little bit more with Barcelona. They then get themselves a corner. Dumfries absolutely powered over the top of the Barca defense, makes it 3-2, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, they might actually do it. A minute later, the most outrageous shot from a corner from Rafinha. It was an own goal because it hits a crossbar and hits the goalkeeper. A little unlucky there from Inter's point of view, but the shot deserved the goal in all fairness, and it's 3-3. But then a really interesting element came into this game, and it's why the second leg is going to be beautiful. Because it took them probably until about the 70th minute. But then Inter started working out how to regularly break that exceedingly high line of Barca. And by the way, Ange Postecoglou, you can play that higher line when your defenders are that good, but when you have an attack, when you have a midfield and an attack like Barca, you can get away with a high line like that. If you've got Spurses, sit back a bit deeper, bruv. Prime example there. But Inter started to break it a little bit and narrowly missed out on going 4-3 up. Offside by a toenail. Another crossbar hit right at the end as well by Yamal. And the game ended. Listen, Barca were the better team in terms of attack. 19 shots to 7 in terms of the overall game. 9 on target to 3. But that's why I'm saying I think it's advantage Inter Milan. Barcelona, if you look at their last game, away from home against Dortmund, they were nowhere near the same quality away from home as they were when they played at the Camp Nou. Their away form, actually, when you look at it this season, this is what's interesting. Their away form lost to Monaco 2-1. They beat a team whose name I can't pronounce 5-2. They actually beat Dortmund away 3-2 earlier on in the season, but remember, conceding goals. The Benfica game 5-4, as an example. They beat Benfica 1-0 and then they lost to Dortmund. They are gettable and you can create chances against them. I just have a feeling Inter were working out towards the end how to impact that high line. They may have to drop it a little bit deeper. With the home advantage, Inter have got a great chance. And although they'll be disappointed to have conceded 3 goals and to thrown away leads, the goals they scored were so important because I don't actually blame Inter Milan for the goals they conceded. They were just sheer quality. The level of quality in those goals was out of this world. Barca were going to end up scoring goals like that tonight, irrespective of what Inter did. Without those Inter goals, it's 3-0 and you're out. So as much as I know you wanted to hold on to that lead, I don't think anybody's going to be able to do that to Barcelona in the knockout phases. No one has been able to do it to them. No one is going to just keep them out. They're too good. They're on course to break the record for the most goals scored in the Champions League season. I think you may look back by the end of 90 minutes next Tuesday and thank your lucky stars you scored these 3 goals tonight, even though you had the lead and it fell away. Some will call it bottling. I don't think it's bottling it at all. I think it was a very high quality game indeed. Look at some of your comments here. Terry, Arsenal's not beating these guys. Sad reality. Look, last night I was watching PSG going, I feel like they're the best team in the league, in the Champions League. Tonight, we saw the difference in Inter and Barca, the brilliance of both. The one thing I'd say about Barcelona is they leave themselves very high and you can expose them. Arsenal's attack, I think, has more pace in it than Inter Milan's. So there's an opportunity there. Dortmund just beat them 3-1. Dortmund are not as good as Arsenal, but it's very, very tough. Whether Arsenal get past PSG or not, either Inter or Barca are in the final is massively, massively difficult. It's why when the semi-finals were announced, I had Arsenal as 4 favourites. It's why even when they were like 2nd and 3rd in the league table, I'm still putting them 5th or 6th in terms of the favourites to win it. One thing I will say to Arsenal fans, though, just very quickly before we get back to this game, because you super chatted, there's a lot of people that are like, there's no point being in it when you can't win it. Do you know what's a load of bullshit about that? Go back 3 seasons ago and look how bad Barcelona were in the Champions League. Now, what the amoebas will do is go, it's because they got a better manager, that's why they're better. Partly, but it's a part of it. The club continued to build on its squad, the identity of players, the style of football that it wanted. It's not been a mass change, adaptations only with new coaches. They carried on building that squad out, but they gained experience in the Champions League, a bit of Europa League football. You've got to remember, Man United were better than these 2 years ago in the Champions League. But it's the perseverance, to continuing to build the squad, but building the experience of being in these tournaments. Look where Barcelona are now. This idea of just being not wanting to be in the tournament because you can't necessarily be the favorite to win it. Very, very weak mentality indeed. These Arsenal weirdos claiming corruption against them, just sit and watch Barca and you will see corruption. Yeah, look, I did think it was a handball tonight. I'm not too sure which defender it was of Barcelona's. I am sorry. It lose my mind now. I think it may have been Martinez. He's holding he's holding Barella's shirt, which he's not allowed to do, and then the ball hits it. Surely that has to be considered an unnatural position if the arm is in a position to commit a foul. Can't believe that wasn't given, to be fair. Thoughts on Inter's 4th looked onside to me. Look, the naked eye looks onside, but they use a semi-automated, and these things happen. It was off by a toe now. Crazy. Abs here, who's a Barca fan, says, Terry, every time we make changes to that back line, it always shows. We conceded goals like crazy and always shaky. That high line requires consistency. Yeah, look, that's the thing. Nobody is just absolutely nobody is perfect in this Champions League. There's little areas where people can be got at, and I think that's what makes it such a brilliant group of semi-finalists and finalists. You know, it's very hard to call who's going to win it. Someone's going to predict and get it right, but they're really guessing. People predicting the winner are guessing. We don't know. That's the truth. Joshua Jack here says, to all the folks that tried to diminish La Liga and Serie A, that's what they produced tonight. Class. And if Yamal helps Barca get the treble on the back of the Euros, he'll win the Ballon d'Or. Yeah, and he would deserve it if he continues playing like this. What I will say is this, Joshua Jack, it's not about diminishing those leagues. We know the top teams in those leagues are brilliant. The question always comes, and it isn't fans that have invented this. It's players that have come from those leagues and explained it, that when you start playing teams that are outside the top 6 or 7 and below, their view is that it's much easier than doing that than compared to other leagues. And I just think we can't keep ignoring the fact it's the players that have said this. Fans just haven't made it up from nowhere. Lamine Yamal is the best winger in the world this season. By the way, Barca will win away every time Barca concedes. It's like Real Madrid last season. They've got a great chance. They've got an absolute great chance of going through. But I actually think the advantage is with Inter Milan. I think it's with them personally. 1 second. I'm just sending someone a quick message. I don't know if the link's been shared yet. I need to go and check. I didn't check this before the game ended. Has KJ not been doing his job properly? Let me go and check, people. Let me just go and see what's going on here. Stay with us and make sure you've hit the like button, please. No, I don't think he did. Let me just share it because a few people in the group chats are asking for it. And 1 second, people. I just always naturally assume that KJ does it because he generally does. So let me just get it into the various group chats that people are in, and hopefully man come through if they want to. But yeah, it was great. I want to speak about Yamal for a moment, because I think Yamal deserves a little bit of individual attention. And where to start with Yamal? Youngest ever goal scorer in a semi-final tonight. And I want to draw your attention to something. Mbappe was the youngest prior to him at 18 years old and 100 odd days. I want to put some context on what an achievement this is from Yamal. Lionel Messi didn't score his first Champions League semi-final goal until 2011 when he was 23 years old. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't score his first Champions League semi-final goal until 2007 when he was 22 years of age. This is a 17-year-old. 17. Let that sink in for a moment. As I mentioned in the summer, the way he took hold of the Euros in the summer at 16 years of age is like nothing we have ever seen in football before. His finishing ability, his dribbling, his creativity, his strength at 16 to 17 years of age. We haven't ever witnessed anything like this, at least in the modern day game. One of the most phenomenal and most complete players I've seen, who is still a child. Still a child. Let it sink in. And I was looking at some numbers and achievements. a little bit earlier on today. And I'm only comparing him to them due to the levels that they are. At 17 years old, at 17 and 291 days, as he is today, Yamal, this man has around, I think he has, this is according to these stats I was sent through. I haven't actually verified these. I'm going to assume that they are correct. But it says here he has 21 club goals and 4 for Spain. Now, I want to make sure that's actually true. Maybe he has more than that. You guys will probably let me know in the comment section, right? So I got sent this earlier on today. They went, you've got to look at these numbers. It's crazy. He's got 11 league goals. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, he's got 21 goals for club and country. Sorry, I've got to start this bit again. 25 goals for club and country at 17 years of age. He has 31 assists for club and country at 17 years of age. And he has 3 trophies. He has a La Liga, he has a Copa del Rey, and of course he has the Euros. He's probably going to add it will still be 17. He's probably going to add another La Liga to that as well. So he's going to have 2 of them at 17. Lionel Messi, at the exact same age, had no goals for club and country, no assists for club and country, and no senior first team trophies. Cristiano Ronaldo had 3 club goals at that age, none for Portugal, no assists for club or country, and no senior trophies or achievements. I'm just trying to make you I'm not saying he'll be better than those 2 players. I'm not saying they're rubbish or anything stupid like that, so calm your brains down. I'm simply pointing out that what we are seeing at 17 years of age from Yamal, the word unprecedented does it no justice. When it comes to European-based football players, so I haven't done the research into what some of the 16, 17-year-olds like Pele were doing in Brazil in those days. I'll do that another time. I'm talking purely about youngsters that came through in Europe. I don't think there's ever been a better 16 or 17-year-old. Wayne Rooney, you know what, at 16, 17, that kid was special. He had some goals. I haven't done the numbers on him. He definitely didn't have a league title to his name, though. He definitely didn't have an international tournament under his belt to this degree. I think he was 18 years old when he must have been 18 years old because I'm the same age as Rooney when he took Euro 04 by the scruff of the neck. Unfortunately, an injury stopped him. Rooney's got a shout for it. Maybe Michael Owen's got a shout for it. But when you think about technical ability, physical attributes, delivery, output, and man of the match level performances in multiple games have led to winning trophies, Yamal is arguably the most special teenager that European football has ever seen. It's a player that everybody should be scrambling to watch, especially at this young age, because it's beyond historic. It's not once in a generation. It's potentially once in a lifetime. We might go another 70, 80, 90, 100 years into the 16 to 17-year-old. I'm talking about when he really started to deliver, does this again. It is beyond special on every single level. And I genuinely just feel privileged, absolutely privileged to watch him. It's beyond belief. And there was loads of great players out there tonight on both teams that did so many fantastic things. But that young man who is still a child, he can't vote, he can't drink. I don't even know if you're allowed to book airline tickets by yourself before the age of 18. There's so many things he's not allowed to do. Can't get a tattoo. And he is bossing Champions League semi-finals. He was the main reason, the biggest reason, amongst others though, but the biggest reason Spain won the Euros in the summer. Those game-changing abilities that have led to trophies, the goals, the assists, the creativity. And then what he has on top of that, and this is why I love Yamal, because I think he brings everybody together. Stat merchants, trophy merchants, eye test merchants. No one can disagree. He's like the triple threat in that regard. He delivers trophies. He delivers output. If you don't like how he looks aesthetically, I think you're broken. Because he has that mixture of Messi and Ronaldo. And I mean in the sense of really quick, great feet. But he also likes to run at people directly. Can just drop a shoulder, bang, and go. 17 years old. I don't know how you would do this safely. I'd love his brain to be studied. I want to know how he can have that composure at 17, that concentration at 17. Absolutely phenomenal. Just wanted to spend a little bit of time there to talk about him because I think that he deserves it. Because what I witnessed tonight was just special. Couple more super chats here. That's Barca defense would suffer in the Prem. Look, that Barca defense would have the same issues against the teams as good as Inter. Yeah, because Inter started to exploit it a little bit. But that Barca team could win the Premier League. Let's be serious here. They really would. They really would. The game was a draw. The winner was football. Yeah, football certainly won today. Football certainly won today. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Football definitely won. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. That's what you call a semi-final. I like both. I just love the Champions League this year. I stand by. I tweeted about this earlier, and I stand by it. After a terribly boring Premier League season, thank God for the Champions League. It's been sensational. And next week's going to be just as good. Judge Mo and Elijah are joining me in just a few moments' time. Excuse me to have their say. Wild thing, by the way. Yeah, Pedri was brilliant. Rafinha, I thought was great. I thought Rafinha was good. Ferran Torres was good. I was making a list of the players that just, like, loads of players were good tonight. Omar had a good game. Who else stood out to me tonight? Who I really enjoyed tonight? I like Barella's performance. We haven't even mentioned Dumfries. The man just got 2 goals and an assist away at the Nou Camp in the semi-final of the Champions League. And we mentioned it right at the start. Thuram's finish was brilliant. Even Summer to goal. He conceded 3 goals tonight, Summer. Some of the saves he pulled off. It was just high quality everywhere. And I know we live in a social media world now. Every time a team's leading and then they don't win. Bottle jobs. Sometimes teams do bottle it. There was nothing about Inter tonight that I think was bottling it. Inter fans may see it different, but as a spectator, I just saw quality after quality after quality. And I feel a very privileged man to witness that. I really do. You are just glazing, my bro. Yamal was good, but the best player on that pitch was Dumfries. The thing is, right, I am more than comfortable with you saying that Deji. Doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form if you think Dumfries was better on the night. What I'm talking about with Yamal is everything he's done at 16 to 17. Do you think Dumfries, what he did tonight, he could have done at 17 years old? I think you're missing the point here when you say glazing. You are ignoring the age factor here. And maybe because he's so good, you're not seeing the age. But the rarity of what we are witnessing, it is like trying to find unicorn blood. It's beyond rare. Forget diamonds, forget platinum, forget vibranium. This is as rare as vibranium. It's just, it rarely comes along. So yeah, listen, Dumfries was excellent, taking nothing away from him, but you should just be enjoying every second of this young man. You really, really should. No team should play defensive against Barca. Against Barca, teams that play defensive will concede no matter what. The only way of stopping Barca is themselves. You've got to have an attack. There's no doubt about it. Right, I'm bringing Judge Mo and Elijah on the show. I was bringing Judge Mo, and his camera's gone off. I don't know if he's there still. When his camera comes back on, I'll bring him in to have his say on tonight's game. Because yeah, there he is. He's back with us. Judge Mo's here. Elijah's here. Mo, I was watching your watch along actually. It was so funny. I can't wait. We were reacting to it tomorrow morning, me and Callum from Coppish. But look, give me your thoughts on the game, mate, because you know you're 2 up, you're 2-2, you're 3-2 up, you're 3-3. What's going through your head right now? Break it down for me, mate.
We didn't defend well, and I thought we didn't attack well. We could have absolutely exploited Barcelona's high line. Every time we played a good pass, we were behind. So, to be honest with you, we should have played better offensively. But if you allow me to say something, and I know that you allow everyone to express their opinion, I actually think that Barcelona are the same club of 2009 again. Every 50-50 was given to them. I don't think, I'm trying to draw the lines for the offside. They waited about 10 minutes to give us the image of the semi-automated offside. It wasn't released right away. They tried to rig the image for it. I didn't think, because logically speaking, Mkhitaryan distance, who is a shorter player than Kubarsi, was closer to the difference between the dark green and the light green, to be honest with you. And I think it wasn't offside. I'm watching it again, and I kept watching it, and I can't imagine that they gave it as offside. It shows the wrong frame. And I know that the official thing was released 10 minutes later after they gave the offside. The corner they scored, they gave a corner from a free kick on Dumfries that 2 minutes later, they didn't give it to us, right? Right? So that is just, again, it's 2009 again. However, Barcelona have 2 players that were great. Lamine Yamal and Pedri are unplayable. They were absolutely great today. I thought that we didn't play well. I thought we could have played better. We could have exploited the defense more. Thuram was not fit, but Lamine Yamal cooked Di Marco, and it was the wrong choice by the manager to start him. He should have started Carlos Augusto because he's stronger defensively. And I actually think that Inter will win this tie in the San Siro. We won't defend like this, and Barcelona will still play with the same way. They won't change Barcelona. They will play the same way. And I believe that we will defend better, like we defended in the second half. The goal they scored was a great shot, but it was going to the bar, and basically it's an own goal because it hits the goalie in the back of the head. And that's about it. I actually think we'll go through, but for everyone that kept saying that Inter will get smashed, Barcelona were chasing the game for the whole game. Every time we went up and they were chasing the game back. I think we're a better player than a better team than them. The people that say that, yeah, they play good football, tiki-taka football. Football is not about tiki-taka only. If you're a kid and you watch only the way that football is played this way, you're wrong. Because in the 90s and the 2000s, the Italian teams were playing different brand of football. You enjoy that brand of football. I enjoy it too. It's great to watch. It's fantastic. But again, I still think that we're a better team than them. We exploited them. We could have absolutely be up against them more. Lamine Yamal is phenomenal. Individually, he's great. Barcelona as a team were good. They exploited Inter's lack of awareness in defense with Pedri, who is phenomenal. To be honest, he was phenomenal. Pedri, he's the best midfielder in the world at the current moment. There's no one close to him. The slickness about him, the way he moves the ball, the way he sees things that people don't see, the way he sees runs before they even happen. He's a phenomenal, to be honest, player. Lamine Yamal is a generational. By the way, he's the youngest player ever to score in a semi-final of a Champions League. So he's breaking records. He's history. I think he's, as I was hearing you in the background, he's the best teenager we have seen in our lifetime. And I believe that, to be honest, apart from the only one that was, I think now I changed my mind, the only one that was better than him is Ronaldo. The old Ronaldo at the age of, I think, 19 or something, if I'm not mistaken. He was at Eindhoven and he was tearing it apart. But listen, Barcelona are good, but they're not that good, to be honest with you. They're not great. They're good to watch on the eye, but they're not great as people think. Their defense is wide open. They're very average defenders in Kubarsi, who's just I can pick like 10 defenders in the world that are better than him. They look good because, as always, Barcelona are good. They look good in the eye because they have the ball all the time and they pass around. But when it comes to defense, they're not great, to be honest. They're not great, to be honest with you. I think we are going to be going through in the second leg. I think Inter will go to the final. And Barcelona fans should be ashamed of themselves chasing the game at your own ground after you beat Real Madrid against a team that is tired. We lost Lautaro Martinez. Thuram was injured. We didn't have Benjamin Pavard. Basic was there. We have Mahdi Taremi basically for a whole half, and they were chasing the game as well. So that is shame on them. A lot of Barcelona fans are crying, and they're saying, "Oh, we play good football." Yeah, play good football. It's 3-3 at your ground. Advantage Inter. You come to the San Siro. It's hell. Remember the last time you came to the San Siro in a knockout stage, you got smashed 3-1, and you cried after the game, and you tried to cheat in your own ground. But in terms of the tactical game, it was all going through Yamal. To be honest with you, it was all going through Yamal. That basically the plan was go to Yamal and try to dribble and lure people in. To be honest, that was the plan. Just pass to Yamal, let him cook, and he cooked. To be honest with you, I actually want Barcelona to go out for a couple of reasons because of my team. Because people need to realize that football is not played one way, and I said that earlier today on Straight Facts. That football is not played one way. Alex Ferguson has won multiple trophies, 2 Champions Leagues and a treble, playing different brand of football. Mourinho won 2 Champions Leagues and a treble, playing different brand of football. He broke records in the Premier League playing different brand of football. But the kids of these days don't know that football is not played that way. Chelsea were a team that is not acquisition-based football, and they won 2 Champions Leagues as well. That people are just crying because they think that football is all about tiki-taka. I'm not sure if Elijah shared the same thing, but the people in the chat are just crying because, I want to see the tiki-taka. No, I don't want to see the tiki-taka. Pass the ball 50,000 times is boring, to be honest with you. Passing the ball 50,000 times before. If we didn't have Yamal today with the individual brilliance, otherwise Rafinha scored the goal. Yeah, good shot. That was there. But other than that, Rafinha, yeah, like he played okay. Lamine Yamal is levels ahead of him, to be honest with you. Like passing the ball 50,000 times is just nothing to me, to be honest with you. Like, it doesn't move me, by the way, passing the ball. So that is my take on the game, to be honest. I think we're going through, Thierry. Because I know that you shared something on Twitter with a celebration.
Listen, I just shared it because I had your watch along and a few other watch alongs on, and I saw the way you celebrated, and it resonated with me that, and I don't mean, all I shared it for is it kind of moved me in a way because I've seen a lot of content creators in the last couple of years see their team score big goals, last minute winners, and the reaction is often so meek. Yet, they're not like shrinking violets. They're not shy people. Like if someone's a bit of an introvert, they're young, they just started content, they're a little bit shy. I get it. But the way you celebrate, I'm like, that's how. Do you know how you know that's how true fans celebrate? Listen to every goal that went in tonight from Barca. Listen to every goal that goes in Inter in the replay. The noise that the fans make is because they're celebrating like that. That's why the noise sounds that way, right? I don't know if everybody celebrate like some of these YouTubers do when their team scores, when they're like, "Oh yeah, cool." If that's actually how you celebrate in the ground, there'd be no noise at a goal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's what I liked about it. I was like, look at that. That's how it should be. You know, when Maguire scored that winner, I nearly passed out with shouting. And I don't understand someone that watches football and you score those big and important goals and it doesn't overtake your consciousness. It should do. It should do, in my opinion, but maybe I'm being judgmental. Elijah, what did you make of tonight's game? I got a lot of what Mo said. I understand. What I did want to say is here in England, the graphic for the offside came out a minute after they gave it. It wasn't 10 minutes here. So I don't know about where you're watching it, but here
I was watching it on the same feed.
What, TNT Sport?
No, I was watching it. It's the world feed.
Yeah, but it came out. I'll double check. Maybe I miscounted. It felt like it came out quickly to me, but I'll have a look. But Elijah, what did you make of tonight's game? What was your breakdown of it, mate?
It was a brilliant game of football, Terry. Like basically, it was a high line versus a low block because Barcelona, the fact that they conceded 3 goals at home is just not good. And I have to tell you this year, if Barcelona continue to play this high line, especially at the San Siro, I think Inter will knock them out because Inter, defensively have been poor, tonight. But going forward, they had many of chances. Like they just exploited Barcelona's high line. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was a Barcelona fan, I'll be thinking, is he okay to play a high line against an Inter who we know that plays like a back five, basically like a low block and hits on a counter attack? To me, it makes no sense. But we have seen some wicked goals tonight, like Dumfries with an overhead kick was superb, and Rafinha, like brilliant shot. Even though it's a non-goal, it was a brilliant goal from Rafinha. Lamine Yamal looks like at 17 years old, this guy is a world class because if you look at this, Mo, there were times where 2 of your players doubled up on him, but I don't think, but none of them could get past it because Lamine Yamal is magical, and also Lamine Yamal was so unlucky because he hit the crossbar twice, both in the first half and in the second half. So he was so unlucky, but it was a brilliant game. So what I will say is that it's advantage Inter because it's at the San Siro, but I feel like this game might end in the draw. But what I will say is that Barcelona, they need to change their tactics because if they play a high line again, then for me, they're going to get knocked out. They just need to find a way. But it was a brilliant game, man. Semi-final in the Champions League. I mean, I didn't want this game to end because as soon as the third goal went in, I was thinking, boy, I sense it's going to be another goal, but it didn't happen. But it's a brilliant game of football.
And we did score a goal, but we chopped up.
It was the toenail. I mean, listen, many people didn't like that, but that's what the semi-automated offside is for. If you know what I mean. So yeah,
for me, it looked more off with the naked eye than the camera angle showed. But yeah, I agree with you, Elijah. I didn't want it to end. I get Mo's calling out some of his team's defending. And I get why. It's his team. He's going to view it differently to us. I just thought it was one of the most highest quality games I've seen in years. 2 teams that play differently, that are both brilliant. Yeah, there were mistakes in the game, but it's normal because you're up against high quality opposition. This happens in every sport at the highest level. You get 2 great MMA fighters in the ring together. Both are going to get smacked in the face. Both are going to have moments where they might get tapped out or knocked out. Typically speak, every now and then you'll get, Conor McGregor catches Aldo in 13 seconds and it's over, right? That can happen as well. But then football's different to boxing and fighting. You can come back, right? When you get knocked out in a fight, it's over, right? But I thought it was great. And I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to end at all. So go on.
And I just want to say that I think today Inter have played 12 games in this competition, only conceded 5 goals, right? If you look at this Barcelona team, that's why Barcelona are one of the best teams in the world at the current moment. The attack is ruthless. You come against a defense like this and you find spaces, especially the second goal, to score a goal like this. It is ridiculous by Barcelona. That's why when we talk about Barcelona being in the semi-final and they're stronger than a lot of teams, you score 3 goals against Inter. That is not easy to do. A lot of teams have failed to do this. Bayern Munich have failed to do this. So for me, I'm looking at this Barcelona team. It is one of the strongest. I just imagine if this Barcelona had Lewandowski instead of Ferran Torres up top. They'd be way more dangerous than what they are today. But it's Barcelona, Pedri, De Jong, Lamine Yamal, these three create like a brilliant trio, to be honest, in terms of like attack. The way they attack is ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like, it's ruthless. And that is the level of football that is different than the other teams that were in the Champions League. Bayern Munich. With all due respect as well, like even Liverpool. If you watch Bayern Munich, if you watch Liverpool are more more conservative defensively in terms of like, or better defensively with Van Dijk and Konate. But the way this attack does it, all as a unit, even the movement of Dani Olmo and Ferran Torres between the lines is ridiculous, to be honest. Hansi Flick, what a football manager, to be honest. The way he exploited Inter was... I was watching the game and I was scared. Every single run that they made between the lines, you can tell it's a manager's job. That's a training ground move. Ferran Torres dropping, Dani Olmo go into the pockets, like it's crazy.
Do you know what I found really interesting is Flick this season and Enrique, the two managers who a lot of football fans kind of turn their nose up at a little bit for a couple of years, which I've never really understood. Exactly. Both high level, both top quality. MPD here though says high quality 3-3. And I don't like to always answer a question with a question, but so I'll answer it first, then throw it back to you. Yes, I think today was high quality. I do. What scoreline isn't high? What scoreline do you consider to be high quality then? Because it can't be a 3-0 rout, 4-0 rout for one team, because that means the other team's been battered. I'm talking high quality from both teams. In my lifetime, you can get a different type of high quality. If you get two teams that are amazing defense, good attackers, but amazing defensively, you can get some of those brilliant 0-0s, 1-1s, narrow wins, right? But when you've got an attacking team as brilliant as Barca, a team that's generally as defensively sound as Inter, and you have a game like that, if you don't think it's a high quality football match because you're focusing on this defender could have done this, and what if a player made this tackle, I think you are overanalyzing the game and you're not enjoying it. To me, you look at all the goals tonight, there's very little that could have been done to stop the majority of those goals that happened. Even the corner for Inter's third, that was just a team that's stronger and more powerful and taller scoring their headers. I don't think there's much that Barca could do. The crossing was brilliant. Barca fans will say they could, but as an outsider looking in, for me, that's high quality. But I respect your opinion. What do you consider a scoreline to be that reflects high quality? I'd love to know it, MPD. Omar's here with us now. Omar, love the shirt, by the way, bro. Top quality shirt, brother. Loving it. What you here to say, my G?
You know what's funny, right?
I don't think you're speaking through your mic.
Bro, your mic ain't
my
picking up.
bad. I'll pick it up. Sorry. Are we good now?
There we go.
Perfect. Look, you know what's funny, right? Because obviously, we couldn't do a match preview, but it's funny because if I did, you would have known that I would have said this to you because I was telling people before this time. You know what people were telling me before coming into this game? Because I was watching Inter's games, the past 3 games, right? People were telling me, Inter, they're looking poor. Defensively, they're not looking good. They're not scoring goals. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. We're going to destroy them. This is what I've been hearing. And the funny thing is, I told people, this game against Inter is going to be our hardest game in the Champions League so far because we haven't played a team like Inter in the Champions League so far, right? Who are compact, right? They're not gonna come in. These guys are not here to play football. They're not here to be the better team. They're not here to dominate possession or have the most shots or do any of those stuff. These guys are just here to defend, be compact, hit us on the corner, and hopefully get goals. And then we start the game with a high line. When was the last time in the game today? At what point in the game today did our high line work against Inter? At no point. Even that goal that was given offside, I'm sorry, you could have that was very close. He was offside by its studs. One tiny little stud. I'm like, brother, this is my point. And this is what worries me, right? Because for weeks since this tie was confirmed, I told people, do not sleep on Inter. Please do not sleep on Inter. Because because what we've struggled this season under Hansi Flick is low blocks. Most of the games we've lost this season has been against teams who played low blocks against us. You understand what I'm saying? And Inter are not coming against us today to play football like they did against Bologna. They're coming here to just play a low block and hit us on the corner. And today, Inzaghi outshined Hansi Flick. I'm sorry, but he did, right? They literally played the same way that they played against Bayern Munich in that first leg, right? The difference is our attack today did better than Bayern Munich's attack. And in the end, the fact that I had to leave this game today, relieved that we didn't lose, it says a lot. It says a lot. And look, obviously, 3-3 draw. We go to the San Siro next week. But look, I'm only going there with hope. That's really it. Because do I think we can beat Inter in the stadium? Of course. I think, it's still anyone's game. I think that if, Inter go in that game and maybe underestimate us, we can beat them. Absolutely. But I've seen the way this team performs sometimes. And the way Inter today were just able to just kill us on the set pieces. On the set pieces, bro. They were just like Dumfries today. 2 corners, 2 goals. Ridiculous. Well, our defense was asleep today for those goals. And it's funny because you could have told people, because the game against Bayern Munich in the second leg, that goal by Lautaro was in the box. Corner kick, right? Complete run of play. Like the ball is in the box. There you go. Score. Second goal, corner kick from Benjamin Pavard. It's like we didn't learn. We didn't do the scouting. You see how good these guys are corners, and you're not man marking them. That is ridiculous. It was an absolutely ridiculous performance. I'm not happy. I wanted to win this game because I wanted to go with something in that second leg, but at least we get a draw. That's the only thing I can get out of this, coming out of this game now.
Mo, I'm going to let you respond because it feels almost like the opposite to what you said about Barcelona. But yeah, I'm going to let you respond. What do you make of
the defense is their defense is wide open, but that is the risk you play when you have very, very attacking team like this. He gambles, Hansi Flick. And by the way, his gamble worked today, right? His gamble worked today. At the end, they scored 3 goals against the strongest defense in the competition. So he gambled and it worked. To be honest with you, people think that Inter only scored from the set pieces and we only created from set pieces. Inter were behind. Thuram had a shot that was blocked. Dumfries missed a clear pass to the side. Another one apart from the goal behind the high line. By the way, DiMarco had a clear cross and he didn't cross it. It was 3 guys from Inter that was behind the ball. Hansi Flick plays this game, right? It's very simple. And I think in the San Siro, he needs to change it a little bit. He cannot have the same guys. He needs to absolutely drop the line. The problem with it is that he doesn't have the players to do it. Barcelona's defenders, apart from Puyol, are not good defenders. Normally, they're not good defenders.
They're good ball playing center backs.
Yeah, exactly this, Omar. They are very good ball. So that's why people say, Kubarsi, I want Kubarsi.
No, that is so true. Mo,
but can he defend though? But can he defend one-on-one? Can he defend?
Mo, that is the thing. I think I'm the only Barca fan that actually calls this thing out. I tell people, Kobashi has shown bozo moments. Why is everyone acting like this guy has been like the best center back in the entire world this season? I've seen this guy make mistakes as a center back. And you're right. I'm not gonna lie. Our whole defense, right? If people shit on Araujo, but truth be told, he's probably our best defender defensively.
Defensively, he's good, but he's not good playing center back, so he doesn't play. But he doesn't play. But you watch today that guy Martinez that went to the left back as a defender. He's just all right. Like, he's, with all due respect, he's an average defender, but he's great on the ball. And that is what football turned into. Like, when you're a good ball playing center back, you start for Barcelona because you have Kubarsi is not a bad defender, but he's not great. Like, for example, he's not Rudiger defensively. He's not Gabriel. He's not Puyol. He's not Saliba. He's not Sergio Ramos. He's not Varane. You know what I mean? He's not these guys defensively. And that is the whole point, is that when you press them, Kubarsi passes the ball to the goalkeeper. He can't actually handle the physical of the game. But because Barcelona have the ball all the time, they don't get exploited. But today, like, Barcelona defenders in the corners, they really don't know where to stand. Like, they have no idea where the ball is coming. Are we going to be able to, like, Inter in every corner look dangerous, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure if Barcelona will be able to hold Inter, but also at the same time, I'm not sure if Inter will be able to hold Barcelona's attack.
You know what's funny, Mo? I said this at the end of my stream. I said, you know what would not surprise me? I wouldn't be surprised if we go to that stadium. You guys get the first goal of the game, right? And maybe try to kill the game off and maybe get a second so that, you know, kill our confidence dead. And we somehow get an equalizer before the end of that first half. and it's just going to be a back and forth game where both teams are just missing square chances and to win the game, and then we will just win it in the end. And
Yeah, this game
like
could have been 4-4 or 5-5 easily, by the way. Easily. It could have been 4-4 or 5-5.
You should have won. I'm sorry, you had chances to win today.
But I think, boys, though, listen to both of you. What I think is so true is that it's just so hard to call. I think people can guess who's going to win, but you are guessing. And that, for me, you know, when I spoke, you heard me say this many a time, Mo, about that Premier League period, sort of 03-04 to about 2013, where there was always 3, if not 4 Prem teams that had a chance of winning it. Those seasons, there were favourites. There's no doubt there were favourites. But it was one of those things where you would get the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the final, and it was always a flip of a coin around who was going to win. There was we went through a period where you had Bayern for a while, and you had Barca, and then Madrid, where you just had these 3 teams where it was like, well, it's going to be one of those 3. And if one of them went out, well, it's them. And invariably, it was one of those teams that kind of won it. If you get what I mean, it just, and then City became one of those sides. That period was just like we've seen this season in the Champions League, where you think, right, how many picks have we got wrong around? Even when we say wrong, the team you picked to go through might go through, but the game was completely not how you thought it was going to go, as an example. And I love it. And that's what I think, that's what the Champions League used to be when I was growing up. There was this sort of unknown element to it. It was so hard to win. One mistake and you could be out. A bit of luck for another team and it's over. And I feel like we're hopefully getting back. People will realize that makes football more exciting than there being 1 or 2 teams that are by far the best. They always get to the semis and finals. Yeah, it's a great time.
Can I pick up a player? Can I pick up a player? I think Barella today, the way he dribbled with the ball from the backway line to dribble past that press or past a Barcelona player or everything, I think he is. In the big moments, in the big games like this, you see the guy shine. He was everywhere on the pitch. And also when he was on the ball, he's so composed. He doesn't shit himself. He doesn't just clear the ball. And I thought he was phenomenal.
Mo, let me tell you something. I know you probably don't know this, but I've said this to me, right? For me, the best 3 midfielders in the world right now is Pedri, Vitinha, and Barella. I rate Barella very highly. I think Barella, like, you're right. Like, I see him like he's your Pedri. He's your version of Pedri. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he does most, like, he's the heart of that midfield. Everything good that happens in your midfield, he's in the centerpiece of it. And anything good that was going to happen against us today for your midfield, it was going to be him. And he turned up. I'm very honest, right? I know I don't know how critical you are of your performance today, Mo, but I'll tell you this.
Very critical. How do we concede 3 goals defending for 90 minutes?
Yes, right? Because you guys did let us in. But I'll tell you this, right? The way your midfield was better, your midfield today was better than ours. I'm sorry. Even Pedri today, you could see that Inzaghi played. You could tell Inzaghi today probably told the team, he was like, make sure when Pedri has the ball, close him down. Don't let him see, because that's what he did that, right? And you're right, you clear the chances. And the best thing about your game today is we play a high line and everybody seems to get caught by the high line, but for some reason you guys barely were caught on the high line. Your passes were getting to their destination, you were getting opportunities. And let me be real, every time you guys went forward, you guys looked like you were going to score.
I think as well, what I noticed is I thought it was more the last quarter of the game where they started to really exploit it. But then you get to that moment where I think both teams did it a bit, but especially Inter, where it's, look, there's 10 minutes to go. Let's just see this out now.
We took everyone out. Did you notice? Like, he took all the speed out. He's like, I don't want to go to the high line.
But I'm interested now to know. I always think back, again, I use fighting analogies sometimes because I think it's important to show that these things work across sports. But I think there was when Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder the first time, did you all watch that fight? Okay.
Then again, I don't watch boxing.
Okay. In the first fight, Tyson Fury, great boxer, been out the ring for years. Deontay Wilder was peak of his powers. Everyone expected Tyson to lose, and he boxed really, really well. And in the 12th round, Deontay Wilder hits him and nearly knocks him. And we thought he was knocked out. Out of nowhere, Fury gets up and then wins the rest of the round, but was really aggressive, where he'd been quite tentative and fought on the back foot. The next fight, he blew Deontay Wilder away. And what he said about his strategy was, he said, I essentially started round 1 in the second fight, the way I ended round 12. I realized that I only found out in the 12th round that if you do this to him, he crumbles, and that is what he went and did. And I'm going to be intrigued to see what Inter do about your high line. If it's as high again at the San Siro, will they be working on ways in the next week in training to ensure that they find more passes earlier on to exploit it? I'm really intrigued to see what, because you guys are going to attack in the same way. It's going to be the same Barca in attack. Because I think if Inter earlier in the game with fresher legs can find some of those through balls a little earlier. And in the first half, there was loads of moments where you had players making runs and they had to check because your midfielders weren't ready to cross the ball. And I just wonder if they're going to be better at it this time earlier on. There's got some super chats here. First one says, we are not defending like that at home. Overall, I take a draw back home. Fuzar Inter is what Mohammed says here. Big up yourself, bro. Mo, what is with Inter declining form recently?
It's we're exhausted in the league, and to be honest, we just declined in the league because we physically are cooked. And you watch Lautaro Martinez after minute 15, he was injured. Like, bro, he continued to the end of the half. They can't run. DeMarco was tired after like 30 minutes, and we have played 54 games until this moment.
On Sunday as well, didn't you? Why did you guys?
Yeah, we played on Sunday.
I know the Pope passed away, but
no. We chose to play Sunday. We refused to play Saturday. By the way, guys, we're the only team in the history of the Champions League semi-final who played on a Sunday, and Inter were offered the chance to play on a Saturday against Roma, and we chose to play Sunday, and no one knows why. By the way,
Crazy.
That's ridiculous. Why would you do that to yourselves?
I know Tez here says 1-0 higher class PSG. You're missing the point. I said it was a higher class game from both teams. It wasn't high class from Arsenal yesterday. Terrible example, my friend.
You know what's funny, Mo? Okay, keep going.
Sorry, it will take an act of Madrid Satan for us to win at the San Siro. Hashtag Visca Barca.
Yeah.
No, it's still a 50-50 to be honest. If Inter can get Barcelona can also go and get a win. If Inter could have won this game. If we could have won against Barcelona, they can win the San Siro. It's not over at all. It's 50-50. It's not like Inter advantage because we play at home, but come on.
Also, by the way, your centre back wasn't ball watching, bro. He just got sent by the run. The Ferran Torres run. He was sensing him. He thought him go to the left. He went. And Ferran Torres pulled back the other way. I understand why people say it was bad defending. You've got to credit the movement of Ferran Torres as well. You really do. Because if Ferran Torres doesn't make that run, that header just goes across the 6-yard box to no one. Great defending. It's the run from Ferran Torres, the anticipation. Equally, if Torres makes that run, but the header goes back the other way, Torres looks stupid. So I wouldn't say it was ball watching. Blaze here says, bad Inter bias analysis from Mo on Barca. Their defense are brilliant, bar the corners. Your defenders, whom you rate, were on the ropes. Everyone back, by the way.
Wait. What is he saying that you're biased about? The fact that you're saying that we don't have good center backs, defensive center. I mean, look, if I'm going to be very honest, right? I think if you look at our history, right, we've had good center backs in the past, right? But most of our better center backs, the center backs that are known for usually what they do on the ball, like PK. Like, I'm very honest, right? PK was a good center back, but I don't think he was a better center back than Ramos when it came to defending. Absolutely not. You understand what I'm saying? Was he a better ball playing center back? Yes, because he was one of the best ball playing center backs in the world, right? But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'll say this now. When it comes to this game, obviously it is anyone's game. And you know what's funny, Mo? I'm gonna be very real. I feel like because of how bad you guys have been the past few games defensively, right? You guys lost against Roma. You saw that game against AC Milan and the game against Bologna. You guys have been very defensively poor. And the funny thing is, today was no different. Your defense was not that good. That's why we scored 3. Yeah. But the funny thing, the problem is, your attack was just much better today, and then you got 3 goals.
That's why I think we're going to do better in our ground this time. We're not going to be that bad in our ground defensively, to be honest. And I think the difference is, I am not sure if Hansi Flick will change something, but I know that Inzaghi will change things.
He will not change. He will not change.
When Hansi Flick is one of the most attacking managers recently.
Yes.
He doesn't change things. Inter, like, you watched the first 5-10 minutes of the second half. We pressed. We didn't sit back.
You did.
Right? And then we scored, and then we sat back. Hansi Flick doesn't do this. Hansi Flick doesn't ask his players to sit back. He doesn't. He needs to go all out attack.
That's the thing. That's the one thing people don't
That is
talk
his
about.
thing, and but he's brilliant at it in terms of like setting
Yes,
up his team's attacking. He's brilliant at it.
Mm.
But I don't know if he's going to change the highline though. This is like Ange Postecoglou's highline.
Stop his time
Mo,
daily
Mo,
here.
this is why, Mo, I was worried.
Well, this super chat calls it out. I'll come to you straight after Omar. It says, I don't understand why the complaints. Hansi Flick's Flick ball was always attacking. Remember Bayern, they were always conceding a lot, but they won the sixth tuple. This is the thing. He isn't going to change it, is he, Omar, the high line?
That's the thing, bro. That's the one thing that people don't talk about with Hansi Flick. Because Hansi Flick is doing so well, and he's done better with Barca than anyone expected. Nobody really talks about the fact that this brother is very stubborn. And that is why I was worried about this game, Mo. Even as bad as your form was, I knew this guy wasn't going to come into this game, look at your team and say, I know these guys are going to set up like this. So in case they try to hit us on the counter, let's not go too high on the line. He's just going to say, oh, no, what we're doing right now is working, so we're not changing anything. Trust me, Mo, second leg, nothing changes. We're playing the same style. We're going to go gung-ho, try to hit you on the counter. Bro, listen, it's just for me, it's just hopefully, inshallah, we'll get the win. But I'm just going there with a slither of hope because we have a draw. That's really it.
Yeah,
not
listen.
changing anything.
Who do you want to go through, Terry?
Inter.
Oh, great.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to European football, out of all clubs in Europe, Barcelona are the only one I dislike. And it's
same here.
United fans.
It's because of how much they. Yeah, it's purely because of how they obliterated us in those two finals. It's never left me.
Yeah.
Inter Milan, though, yes, you might go on to 4 Champions League, which is one ahead of us, but they'd go further in front. So it's lose. I want either Arsenal or PSG to win it, preferably PSG, because they don't have any Champions League. So it'll be a good winner, but then they don't catch us up or surpass us. Does that make sense? But yeah, out of you two, I'd rather Inter. Barca hurt me too bad, bro.
I mean, I hear you, Terry. The thing is, Mo, I've always known you hated my club. And the thing is, I've never spoken to you about it.
I dislike your club so much you don't understand.
So here's the thing. I know
as me.
In the 2010s when Pep and Mourinho were there, like that was peak times to really like between our clubs, right? But I'm like, yo, this Mo, like this brother, you would think that Barcelona cost Inter Milan everything the way he hates my club, bro. This guy, he crashes out every time he hears anything bad about
the majority, I'm going to tell you honestly, and I said that on Straight Facts multiple times when I was asked about this. The majority, and I'm not saying all, of Barcelona fans that I talk to don't know anything about football. They think that football is passed to Messi, and that is what football is. That's what they think, because Messi is phenomenal. He's arguably the best player to ever play the ball. That is what they think. They think that football started with Messi. And that is what it is, to be honest. And every time I talk to them, they're like, Messi, we did this with this. It's Messi did it. Like Messi is the one who did it. There is a reason why you haven't won yet until Lamine Yamal came back. And now, look at you now, right? Like there's Messi, there is Lamine Yamal. The majority of Barcelona fans just don't know football in general. The majority, I'm not talking about you exactly, but the majority of them are Messi fans. All I'm going to tell you is that I know that some people supported the club because of a player and because they like a player, but the majority of Barcelona fans that I know are Messi fans before they like the club. Like they are like, I love Messi. That's why I support Barcelona and Messi. They're Messi fanboys. And I'm someone who don't like fanboys. I don't.
I see.
To be honest, I don't like fanboys. Not Ronaldo, not Messi, not R9, not Zidane, nobody. I like club. And I like my club no matter who plays for them. And also it adds to this that I want every football fan, and I said this when Terry was not on Straight Fact this morning, he went to get some water. I said, I want people to imagine one thing. Imagine the 2009 semi-final went the way it should have been. I want you to imagine how football would have changed over the last 15 years. One of
the things I would love to fund, or I think it would be a great television show, is like what if, but for football. For instance, what if the referee?
You do what ifs on your channel, Mo. I think I've seen you do it.
Yeah. I think they're a great thing. So if you do like one of the biggest ones I ever wanted to do, connected to my club, was what would Jose Mourinho's career have been like had Paul Scholes' correct rightful goal not been ruled out, and we knocked and we knocked Porto out? Because would Chelsea have brought him in if he hadn't have won that Champions League? Because that was Roman's biggest desire. Maybe not. Maybe he goes elsewhere and does brilliantly. But I would almost love to create like a fictional. You film it, you make it with AI. You could probably even make it look real. But sort of what would have happened if that goal didn't go in? What happens if Chelsea knock that Barcelona team out? Do Man United go? Do Man United go back-to-back European champions? Do Chelsea win that? Do Barca regress from that point? Because I'm not saying they would have done, but we've seen. I remember when Liverpool and, by the way, neither of these teams were as good as that Barca team, but sort of humor me. When the Liverpool played Spurs in the Champions League final, I remember getting one of the big first things I ever got online abuse for is when I said the team that loses, I think, will regress from this point. Because if you actually go back and look at Klopp's team at that stage, they'd been to about 3 or 4 finals and lost them. They were playing, they would go through runs and then wouldn't quite get over the line. Spurs historically had done that under Poch as well. And I just felt like the build up to this final is going to be so massive. I felt like the loser, it would just fall apart for them. And it happened with Spurs. Like they literally went backwards from there. But I'd love to do a what if, but Liverpool lose. I'd just love to create a different net. It's and people could probably do that about things that Man United have won. What if this
you know what it is? Because we are long-term football fans, right? We've seen moments in football where we think a line in the sand. It's like a line in the sand where you're thinking, man, if this went like this one moment went like that, things could have changed. I'm gonna be very honest, right? Do I think that we wouldn't? Do I think we wouldn't have had the success that we did? We definitely would have won the sextuple if Chelsea had beaten us, of course, right? But I'm gonna be very honest, because that was like the beginning of like the Pep Guardiola like era, right? That 2008-09 season, right? I think we would have our success would have been relatively similar, except for the sextuple. You understand what I'm saying, right? I still think we would have still gone on to win the Champions League maybe in 2011, right? I still do think all of those things, right? But look, at the end of the day, I'll tell you this more, right? You're right. A lot of La Liga fans and Barcelona fans, Madrid fans, they are so blindly biased to either players or the club that they would just make excuses for everything. You understand what I'm saying, right? Even if it doesn't make any sense. They will tell you, Barcelona versus Chelsea in 2009. The referee, this and this. I say, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not a blind man. I remember that game specifically. And I'll be the biggest liar in the world if I sit here and said that, let's be real, the amount of penalties that should have been given to Chelsea in that game. I'm sorry. Even as a Barca fan, we have to be objective here. You understand what I'm saying, right? We are not at the end of the day, if someone tried to screw Chelsea, right, we could talk about that, because a lot of people believe that UEFA didn't want to see an all-English final again because they saw one the year before. You understand what I'm saying? But for me, I've always said, look, at the end of the day, for me, Barcelona, I'm just a fan, right? And obviously, sometimes you will see moments in games where you look at, when you see things happen, you're just like, you know what I mean, right? But you'll still be happy if your team wins. But you can still be objective and say, well, listen, let's be real. We were lucky. These guys should have had all these moments in the game. But some people can't be like that because you're not a real fan if you actually say that. But that's not me, bro. I represent myself when I talk about
I agree with Terry to start that.
No. We're done. That was one more super chat, actually, 2 more. This one just says Flick doesn't need to change the high line. It works. Plus, Inter don't have the pace up front. And it showed, bar one offside goal, those 2 corners fooling people. Low.
I do agree with that. Don't get me wrong. Like, it worked today because Barcelona drew that game. What I'm trying to say is that if Barcelona did this at the San Siro, and if it doesn't work, then there's going to be questions. But if it does work, then Barcelona go through. Then I'll give Barcelona credit, if you know what I mean.
No, I hear that, bro. Barcelona had a dream team. Champions League wins and numerous Ballon d'Or winners before Messi. Know your history, Mo.
Yeah, I never said that you were a small club.
That isn't what Mo's point is. Listen, this happens to all big teams.
The dynasty of that time.
There are certain age group of Madrid fans, certain age group of United fans, Liverpool fans that came in when things were good and kind of were riding off the coattails of what built their teams. And then they go through a period where it isn't as good, but all they can think back to is the good times. They don't have. I would remember speaking to an old United fan who said when we were falling off, I don't like that we're going through this. I'm not saying it's okay, but he also just said, I've seen it before. I know that we can find our way back. And he was relaxed about it, where the youngsters began mental because all they knew was Fergie and the success. And some people say you can't lower the standards. I don't think it's about lowering standards. It's understanding things. It's understanding that when you get a Messi, I mean, you've got Yamal now who could end up being better, but there's still a distance between it. Like always having a Messi is not plausible, and you've got to understand that. So I don't think it's about generalizing all fans. It's talking about a particular group. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in. I really, really do. Do me a big, big favor and hit the like button, please. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's channel, so get across there now and support the boys over there. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.